Oh,
Oh shit. Oh. Wow.
Oh Jesus. What the? Whoa! Ah,
Oh, Lego shield. Okay, this game is a hell yeah.
Oh, I see Eddie. Oh!
What?
Oh, woo. Skyrim!
Here we go. The first ever teaser for NBA 2K21.
Oh God.
No, not really.
NBA 2K!
PlayStation 5 exclusive.
You'll be able to feel the sweat on your controller. Oh yeah, he's sweaty.
See? See the sweat.
Amco collection.
Strawberry. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh. What the fuck?
Uh-uh.
Animal Crossing?
Oh, it's a new Pokemon.
Amazing, aren't they? Half bug.
The fuck is this?
What the?
Recently discovered species, entirely unique
A
to
burger
this
beetle.
island. Oh, this one's lively.
What the fuck?
Beautiful seed patterns.
What the fuck?
Oh, and it's
What?
tasty too. Welcome
Okay.
to the island of bug snacks.
Okay. Octodad? Well, that's a fun game.
Teeny hands.
The fuck was that, dude? Oh my God. Why are we still watching this?
Oh my god.
Is it actually a horror game? Oh God!
Oh my
What the
god!
fuck?
Oh, that took such a weird turn.
Well, maybe they'll. I actually have
Whoa.
no idea. Oh. Skyrim confirmed? On the PS5?
Is it?
Dark Souls?
Is it a Dark Souls?
Souls 4?
Is Dark Souls on Xbox?
Dark Souls is not an exclusive game.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about.
Demon Souls.
Dude,
Whoa.
the predecessor to Dark Souls.
Oh!
What?
What the?
Oh, fucking Christ.
Okay, you can get akimbo weapons. I dig it.
Okay,
Bethesda?
Good morning,
is this
Black.
Tracer, but an entire game?
Day.
Oh Jesus Christ.
Who are you? Who sent
Wait, did he not get hit?
No, I guess
Fuck.
not.
They're coming.
It's a horror game. Spooky game.
I like spooky games.
Oh, he did.
Ooh.
1 million people are watching this little shit.
Oh.
Yeah. Well,
They're
this
just previewing games?
pretty much. Like, they're just showing a lot of games and they're saying this is actually what the game will look like on the next console. Which, if all of that's true, actually will look really sweet.
Holy shit, dude! Whoa!
Oh, it's a Resident Evil! Fuck it.
What? Excuse me?
Why?
Oh my god. Ever since I beat Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 7, I've been itching for something new. Whoa.
What the fuck?
Horizon Zero Dawn?
1,000 years ago.
Dude.
They're great cities.
turned to graves.
Dude, it's gotta be a
In their
Horizon
place.
Zero Dawn 2. Yeah, it is. Woo! Yay! Cool.
Forbidden West.
But whatever comes,
It's a mammoth.
I will be ready.
Oh, shit, dude. Oh.
Ooh. The music.
Whoa.
Ooh, she is curvy. That's some Alienware type shit.
It really is.
Whoa.
I like the all white.
USB-A, USB-C, and then two weird things.
That's the power button and the
those buttons. They
this
look like
button, yeah.
slots.
Yeah, no, those are buttons.
Neat.
Not gonna show us the I/O.
This is all the
The
accessories. they
Wii
have.
is on the PlayStation.
Nintendo Wii, now on PS5.
Who do we have? I'm just gonna start it over, honestly. Let's pretend that those first few minutes didn't even happen. Let's just go right here. All right. What's going on, my hot boys and gamer girls? Welcome to Hot Boys Anonymous, the most professional video game and current events podcast that you can listen to where we don't actually talk about current events that much. I'm here with Adam and Joe today.
What up?
What up?
Today we are going to discuss the recent PlayStation 5 reveal event. But before we get into that, Joe and I are very excited about a specific game that was announced like 2 days ago on Tuesday. Or is today,
Yesterday,
today's
technically.
Tuesday, right? God, I don't know what day of the week it is anymore. Dude.
What year is it? What month is it?
Dude, yeah, it's kind of unreal how long. Like June at this, I'm feeling at the same time like, oh, June's already halfway over, but then I'm like, fuck, June's only halfway over. Like,
Yup.
it's so much shit is happening, you know, like both like in the video game world, in the real life world, in my personal world. Like, but anyway, just a lot's going on in the world, and I want to talk about Star Wars Squadrons. So, Joe, what did you see about Star Wars Squadrons that was so interesting to you?
So, one, it's Star Wars,
Yes.
which is already a license to print money. But now it's actual space battles, which I feel like is a very untapped area of Star Wars across the entire Star Wars gaming franchise. Really, the only situation in which we have had that was Star Wars Battlefront 2, the classic one for like the PS2. And the dogfighting and space combat in that game was actually really top notch.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that so much more than any of the actual like just regular ground fights.
Mhm.
So here, just all you have to tell me: Star Wars space dogfighting, and insert Fry. Shut up and take my money meme right here. I am so stoked just on that tagline alone.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was like, because, okay, so right now I'm editing the episode that's about to come out tomorrow. That was the video game mashups episode that we did. And I talked about in that episode at length about how much I want some sort of game where you control fleets of spaceships and have these huge space battles or whatever. And then Star Wars Squadrons was announced the next morning. And I was like, did they just fucking do it? Like, were they listening? The episode's not even out yet. And like, it seems like they're listening to me. It's not quite what I wanted, but it still looks super sick. So from what we've seen, it's small base squadron fighting from a first person perspective. So I think you're going to be piloting your own ship with your squadrons and fighting in these Star Wars space battles from that perspective, which sounds super sick. And there is multiplayer confirmed for it. We don't know what kind of multiplayer, but Joe, you said there was a rumor that it might be like 5v5 combat.
So I'm looking at the official Star Wars Squadron page at starwars.com. And this is the details that they have listed. Star Wars Squadron promises thrilling first-person 5v5 multiplayer space dogfights, monumental fleet battles, and an original story set during the final days of the Galactic Empire and the rise of the New Republic after the Star Wars Return of the Jedi events. So, like, I literally have goosebumps right now just from hearing that description.
Yeah.
And which it doesn't mention in that description. Actually, it says it right before it, but I didn't read that part. It is going to be virtual reality supported on the PS4 and on the PC, which, like, I've been saying this for a long time. The biggest thing holding VR back is there hasn't really been a game that is that forces consumers to be like, I need to get VR in my hands right now. You can make the case for the last Half-Life that probably increased VR sales.
Right.
But for me, I've never really cared for the Half-Life series. I know I'm a bad person for that.
Wow.
But like this game,
Joe would be hopping in with a controversial opinion this episode, but continue.
Anyways, but this game, like, as soon as I heard it was VR supported, I'm like, okay, need to pull out a pen and paper, need to budget a VR headset into my budget for the next like 6 months, because I might have to. And I feel like a lot of people are going to want that. And hopefully, if everyone buys VR headsets, developers will start making more VR games, more AAA titles,
right?
And we'll start seeing a better VR collection here in the next year to 2 years.
Right. I mean, yeah, because it's like when more developers start putting their hat in the ring for VR, then yeah, the prices will go down. It becomes a more accessible genre of video games, because it's like. I'm like 1,000% certain that if you want a good like quality experience of Half-Life Alyx, you pretty much need a Valve Index, and those are $1,000. Yeah. So it's like,
be right back selling a kidney.
Yeah, exactly.
One kidney for sale. You can.
It's about 37 grand.
I take Venmo. I take PayPal, Bitcoin, IOUs, all that.
It'd be great. That'd be lit. Really want to experience that. Plus, it's interesting though with this game is that you talked about. I promise Adam we'll leave Star Wars in a second.
You're good.
I feel like this happens every other episode. Adam just kind of sits quietly for the first like 10 to 12 minutes.
Like it's your podcast. Like, it's fine.
Okay,
you do you.
So it's our podcast too, actually, but it was my idea, our podcast. Anyway, smile. What was I saying?
I honestly don't remember.
It's okay. I tuned myself.
If you want, I got 2 points that I can make for this.
Yeah, let me. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. All right, here it is. I got it. So I think what's interesting, and you were talking about this a little bit, Joe, is the whole thing. Like, this game is coming out very much at the end of the Xbox One and the PS4's life, you know.
Yeah, it comes out October 2nd.
Right, and it's like that's very much almost the very end of that like generation of consoles.
It's really probably the last big name you can have come out right before the next generation of consoles is released.
Right. So it's really interesting to me that they are announcing it at like right now, or that they aren't just waiting and maybe having it be a PS5, Xbox One, Series X. Need a better name. I'm sorry. That's not a great name for a console, in my opinion. But it's really interesting to me that it's coming out like right before these consoles are like, not that they won't be relevant, but they're not going to be nearly as relevant as like they were these past few years. So why wouldn't you just wait the extra 2 months and make it a PS5, Xbox One Series X release?
I have a question I'll pose to you guys when we actually get in the PS5 portion.
Yeah.
But the question I will be posing now, just to maybe get you thinking about it, is if this game was bundled with the PS5 and was not supported on PS4, Xbox One, do you buy PS5 day one? So we'll touch that point when we actually get to the PS5.
Right.
The one thing, I'm super duper excited for this game. It's been a very long time since I've actually been legitimately excited for a game to come out and I would pick it up on day one. There's only 2 things. One thing that I'm just a little hesitant on, and then one thing I'm really nervous on.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I'm hesitant on is the fact that it's only 5v5 multiplayer and it's space dogfights.
Right.
Going back to Star Wars Battlefront 2, I don't remember what the player cap was on that, but I feel like it was at least 10v10, maybe 15v15.
I thought it was like 20, maybe 25v25.
Yeah, the point is, it was a very large number, so it really felt like you were actually having a big, large scale fight. 5v5, I mean, that's Counter-Strike, that's Rainbow Six Siege numbers of players. So that's the only thing I'm going to be curious about is how do you feel like you're fighting a big fight, and how do you ensure that the gameplay doesn't force people just to fly around for literally 3 minutes trying to find somebody because you're fighting in a big, vast space,
right?
Both figuratively and literally. So that's something I'm just a little hesitant on.
Yeah.
One thing sorry, you go ahead.
I agree with you. I think it's going to be a challenge gameplay wise to, like, you know, try to balance, like, exactly what you were saying, try to have these large sort of battles with 5v5. On the other side, though, I'm very, very interested to see what 5v5 dogfights are going to look like from a multiplayer perspective and the different game modes that they can weave into that. You know, because it's like I do really enjoy the big grand battles that, like, the Star Wars Battlefront games, both the new and old, and like Battlefield have been able to bring in. But, like, I feel like a lot of the times with the big battle modes, it's always just sort of been like, all right, I feel it takes forever for me to find a guy, and then I die, and then I have to fly back or drive back or whatever to where I was. And, like, if you are able to have these sort of smaller 5v5 like aerial dogfighting simulators, which Star Wars, and have a small enough map yet make it feel monumental enough, again, this is probably a really big challenge, and I hope they've been working on this game for a while.
Yeah.
But
so two ways that I could see them. I don't know if this is actually how they're going to address it. I'm just speculating it, but two ways that I would actually be okay with how they address it. First way that I would love would be you have AI pilots that are just flying your most basic ships. And still, so, like, that still gives you additional challenges maybe when there's not players in your vicinity, but you're still trying to make sure you're not getting shot down. And then maybe the players control more specific ships like bombers or like not the Y-wing.
The X-Wing.
Oh, not the X-Wing, the little red one. I'm looking at a picture of it right now. I just can't remember the name of it. Anyways, do you let the players control more specialty ships to ensure that they actually are completing the map objectives? I think that would be a cool way to do it. The other point that I think would be an interesting way to kind of take it would be, oh my god, I just had it.
I think it's called the A-Wing real quick. I'm pretty sure it's the A-Wing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is the A-Wing. Yeah, because the Y-Wing is the bomber.
Right.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is the A-Wing. I had another point, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I'm probably going to wake up tonight at like 3 o'clock and remember what it is. So when it happens, we'll come back and we'll record that segment, and then we'll make sure that Graham will use his editing skills and put it in.
There we go, right there.
The one thing, the last point I want to make, and then we can finally transition to the PS5. The one thing that I am going to be the most nervous about when it comes to this game, though, it's EA that's making it. But EA, unfortunately, has not done. They've made good games when it comes to the Star Wars. I will give them that. Like the latest Star Wars Battlefront, despite all of its controversies, in a vacuum, the game itself is actually really awesome. It looks great, plays great. They just really upset the entire gaming community with all the microtransactions and pay-to-win schemes. So I'm crossing my fingers that they don't do anything of that sort with this game. I'm okay with, like, loot boxes for skins and stuff.
Yeah, purely.
But if you make that but if you make that an integral part of progression, there's going to be huge backlash. And I'm going to be forever disappointed and distrusting of EA. So please, EA, just give us a good game. Just give us cosmetics, and I will forever be loyal again. So, anyways.
Yeah, they did do a good job. I mean, with Battlefront 2, they did do a good job of listening to the fans after they got, like, the most downvoted comment in Reddit
the most downvoted comment.
And then they took out all any of the loot boxes that had. They almost did. They're still kind of working on that. But, like, the game 2 years, like, it's like I bought it like last summer for $10, and it's great. All of the DLC is free. It runs super smoothly. They nailed it aesthetic wise. It's visually a gorgeous game. I love the sound design of it. That's such an integral part of any video game, especially a Star Wars video game. You have to nail the sound, and it sounds amazing. But it's like it took you 2 years though to make it as good as it could be, you know?
Yeah.
So here's hoping that they learned a lesson from the previous 2 Star Wars games they released, not including Fallen Order, and they make it a full game upon
I will
release.
say Fallen Order ended up being pretty good, and that gave them a redeeming quality.
I'm not sure if it's worth $60, but it's pretty fun. And another thing is Squadrons is only $40. So
Which like that makes me my last nervous point. That makes me nervous because it's like, okay, are they doing $40 to try and get back in the good graces of us, or are they hoping that everyone's going to buy the game and then it's like boom, instant microtransactions day one to make up for the fact that it's not 60?
Right. Here's hoping it's the former.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks for being a trooper.
We will definitely
Hanging
talk
out.
about Star Wars Squadrons again once we get more gameplay video and once we get a better idea of what the game is and when it comes out. Because I have a feeling like I'm definitely going to buy it for PC when it comes out. And I have a feeling that a few of us are going to be buying it for PC when it comes out. So we'll probably give you like a better idea of everything when it actually comes out and the game's in our hand, which like October doesn't seem that far away to me.
No.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I think we're closer to the end of the year than we are the beginning of the year now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because we're past the hump in June. Unlucky, dude.
We did it. The longest day of the year is this Sunday, correct? The summer solstice.
I think so.
Is that when Sozen
I think
Comic
it's-
flies by?
I
Been watching a shit ton of Avatar.
think it's the 21st, 20th or 21st is the solstice.
Okay, cool. But yeah, so sick. All right, let's get into the PlayStation 5. What did you guys think of the event as a whole, as like watching this from a live stream on Twitch?
Let's have Adam start
Yeah.
because you were talking the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't really have a lot to say about it besides the fact that I thought it was very underwhelming.
Okay.
I mean, for just to have my fucking background straight, I've always kind of been an Xbox guy. I started with like the 360 and then, you know, Xbone and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, even at E3, like watching E3, like the Xbox reveals haven't really been that exciting either. Like the only games I really cared about were like Halo and Gears of War. And not having any allegiance to essentially any PlayStation exclusive games. It was just kind of like, okay, yeah, you know, there's a new console. Looks like a fucking internet router.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know, people are still gonna buy it. And yeah, I don't know. I that's really all I have to say is just I thought it was underwhelming, and I've been PC for the last X amount of years, so it's kind of like irrelevant to me. Like whenever a new console comes out, like because I'm probably not gonna buy it.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, I was just kind of watching it for the memes, and none of the games really looked that exciting to me, and yeah, I don't know, just underwhelming as a whole, I thought.
So like when you say it was underwhelming, was there something when you were going into it that you were expecting to see that you didn't see, or it was just sort of like
More exciting games, I'm gonna be honest.
okay, yeah.
Like with the Xbox, I mean, maybe I'm just biased with like the Xbox shit, but if I remember correctly, at least like whenever they revealed like the Xbox One, they at least teased some like Gears of War in there, and that was kind of my. If I were to name a time I got into competitive gaming, it was probably Gears 3, because that was. I'm pretty sure they had like a slight competitive scene.
Yeah, they had a little one for
like at least a ranking system, but yeah, like I guess maybe a game that I was familiar with is what I was kind of expecting, but with me not being familiar with any fucking PlayStation exclusive game, I guess that's kind of a hard burden to bear, I guess.
Yeah. They had GTA 5 though for the fucking 83rd time.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And I've never really gotten into that, so
it's a fun game to dick around in. I wasn't really ever involved in a Grand Theft Auto game that much for the story.
True.
It's a fun game definitely to dick around in, but I was like, when that was the first thing that they revealed, I was kind of like, well, I saw Rockstar and I was like, holy shit, are they just dropping GTA 6 on us? What the fuck? Like, no, and then it wasn't, which makes sense because they wouldn't just do that, but it was like, Why? Like,
True.
it's like, okay, so everyone who has GTA 5 for the PS5, you get $1 million.
Yep.
Here we go. Oh yeah, it's gonna be on the PS5 too. Like, that was for me the most, I guess, underwhelming thing that they announced. I was just kind of like, I don't really give a shit about GTA 5 anymore, frankly. You know?
Yeah, like
It bothers me that they started with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it. It's a big recognizable name that's going to get people interested in the release, and it'll show you that, oh, they're serious about bringing big game or bringing big name games right upon release.
Right.
But they really, honestly, they could have just went right into Spider-Man Miles Morales as the start. It's like, it's a new game. It's something that people look forward to. Really, I think they could have just flip-flopped those two, and that would have started things off much better.
Right. Maybe, like, GTA 5 could have been a footnote, honestly, on this whole event. Like, also, by the way, GTA 5 will be out, so you can buy it for the PlayStation 5. For those of you who somehow haven't purchased this game yet in your lifetime and whatever, I don't know how. When did GTA 5 come out? Like 2013?
I think
I
so.
still never bought that game.
Well, I mean, but like with you though, Adam, I think you just don't want to buy it. You know?
True. Yeah, I have no desire to.
Right.
So when I bought my Xbox, they literally had. So I bought my Xbox in 2015 or 16, I forget exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we have so many copies of this. Here, have a free copy of GTA 5.
Jesus.
And I still haven't taken the wrapping off of it yet.
Yeah.
It's been 4 or 5 years since I bought it.
Like, I was one of those people who have bought that game multiple times. I must fess up to that right now. I bought it when it came out, and then it was on like a super sale on the Xbone like 2 summers later or whatever, when I actually got the Xbox One, and I bought it because I was like, oh, I want to play this game with my buds. But like, yeah, to your point, like, that's like, why GTA 5? Why did that deserve time at this conference? Like, I would have been more interested if you would have said, hey, we're remastering Red Dead Redemption 2 for the PlayStation 5, because at least that game came out as like 2 years ago and is still more relevant to me than GTA 5 is.
The only thing that would have made me okay with a GTA 5 announcement is if they would have dove more deeper into the side-by-side graphics comparison of like, here's what it looks like on the PS4 or the PS4 Pro. Here's what it looks like on the PS5, because a lot of people probably have it for the PS4. A lot of people probably have played it. So if they can see a visual improvement, I think that would have been a better way of showcasing GTA 5.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely.
More deeper. Whatever redundant thing you said, it was funny.
I got what you were trying to say, Joe. I understood it.
I'm just making fun of you. It's fine.
I appreciate it.
Just calling you out.
So overall, though, I'll say that I was actually pretty happy with the reveal. Overall, I think what I liked the most about it was how for most of the games they did not do necessarily an engine. What is it, like an engine render? Is that what it is when they show like more of a cinematic? They went straight into the gameplay for a lot of those games.
Right.
Like Gran Turismo 7, Ratchet and Clank, what's the Godfall? Like they actually showed gameplay.
Hell, even that Project Athia game or whatever the fuck that we have no idea what it's about.
Yeah.
It's a Square Enix game, but they showed a little bit of gameplay for it. That's really cool.
I really liked that they did that because the graphics were really stunning.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm a PC gamer through and through, but like just seeing those graphics, I was like, especially Gran Turismo, which I've really never been one to play, but even that got me thinking like, maybe I do pick up a PS5 and get Gran Turismo, because that looks awesome. If you got a big old TV or something, shameless or weird flex. Sorry, that could have come out so much better. But yeah, I liked that they actually did gameplay footage, not engine renderings, to drive home the fact that this is going to be a pretty significant step up graphically.
Yeah, I mean, because they said, like, didn't they say multiple times, like, this is the biggest, like, generational jump that they've had, like, as a company? Which I feel like that's just fucking crazy to me. Because you think about the jump between even just the original PlayStation to the PlayStation 2. I thought that was monumental as a kid. Even PS2 to PS3, like, I thought was a big jump too. So that's pretty. It's a pretty bold statement to make.
Especially because like I feel like with the current generation of consoles, with the Xbox One and the PS4, like I feel like the graphics, it's really how do you get better than that really? Because everything looks really awesome already, and I feel like you're with all the previous generations, you're looking at like a 50 to 80% increase in the graphical capabilities and how beautiful everything looks. But I'm like, at this point, I feel like we're pushing the limits. I always thought the gains at this point would be only 10 to 15%, but it still looks like it might be like a 30 to 40% increase in graphical quality.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What were your thoughts, Graham, on how the overall presentation went?
I enjoyed it. I mean, and part of me might have been like, I was enjoying it because I was watching it with you guys, you know? I would have just been probably a little bummed sitting by myself, watching it on Twitch by myself, you know? But I really did enjoy the experience of watching it with friends and being able to hear your reactions at the same time. That was really nice. I thought, like, it looked really good. Again, I'm not so super stoked on the whole GTA 5 thing, but whatever. The thing that kept popping into my head though was like the idea of like this is E3 this year, because we're not getting an E3. We're gonna get all these weird separate announcements probably throughout the months of June and getting into early July from all these different game companies saying, here's what we're making this year, which made me a little bit sad. But I was like, I felt like I was thinking the whole time about how they could have just had like an E3 just live stream it and still do their scheduled slots where it's like, this is the PlayStation stage, quote unquote, where they're going to give their PS5 review, and then here's the Xbox stage where they do their whole reveal. So I kept watching that and just thinking about how I think if they keep going on this where they're going to do live stream reveals and events, how cool they can make like an almost like virtual E3 or a virtual reveal conference. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, I thought it was done really well. I wanted a little bit more. I thought the emotes only chat was probably a right move in the long run. In the long run, that was probably a really smart thing. I thought there's also some limitations to streaming because it's like they locked it at a resolution that I don't think is the actual PS5's resolution. However, they still made things look good. So I was also wanting a little bit more because, I mean, it was like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, hour and 15, hour and a half at most.
Yeah, and that maybe I wanted a little bit more because there were like only a handful of games in there that I was actually really excited about. But yeah, so I liked it. I'm really curious to see what else they could do with this sort of live stream reveal format.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I think that's a good jumping point to like the actual games that were released. You already talked about a couple of them, but I agree with Joe. I think Spider-Man or Miles Morales, I think that's gonna be fucking dope, dude. I mean, I haven't played the 2018 Spider-Man PS4 game, but I've watched a lot of people play it. It looks really gorgeous.
It's an awesome game.
Like, don't at me, but Miles Morales is the best Spider-Man. Like, hands down, he's got way cooler powers than Peter Parker. He's got the spider powers and everything, but he can freaking like teleport and shit, and like, it's cool. And I still think Into the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie. In my opinion, I really like it a lot. So
when did that one come out?
2018, maybe 2018, 2019. Yeah, it's a pretty recent movie. I think it's on Netflix. If you got Netflix, you should check it out. It's done really well.
I don't think I've ever seen a Spider-Man movie.
That's a good one, and that one's its own standalone thing, because you don't need to have seen a bunch of other Spider-Man movies to enjoy that one. But I really enjoyed that movie, and so I'm really happy that this character is gonna get his own game, you know. And I'm really excited to see what the PS5 can do for him in terms of like, because it looked really cool. I love like the New York setting in the wintertime. I think that's going to be gorgeous, and being able to flesh out his powers a little bit more with the PS5 engine is going to be super cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the games I was really stoked for. I have a list here. Joe, you talked about Gran Turismo 7. I don't know if I'll get it, but I mean, it looked pretty.
It did look very pretty.
It looked pretty. Ratchet and Clank. That I'm actually kind of excited for. I've never played a Ratchet and Clank game. I apologize. I've not played Ratchet and Clank before, but just a whole new game built up for the PlayStation 5, I think is a really cool idea. I don't know. Did you watch that at all, Joe? Do you have any inclinations towards that?
Yeah, so I agree with the Ratchet and Clank. Like that one, I know of the series. I also have. I think I might have played one a real long time ago on the PS2, and if it is the game that I'm thinking of, I did enjoy it. But definitely the gameplay footage made it seem like it would actually. One, it's a beautiful game. Two, I like the concept of like the portals and traversing through worlds. It adds a really interesting strategic dynamic to the game. But also the game looks like it has a really awesome story to it.
Yeah.
That I think could low key be a really, really awesome game for the PS5, especially for if it's going to be one of the earlier games released in the PS5's life cycle.
Yeah.
The game that I think got me the most excited for the PS5 was Bug Snacks.
Really?
No, I'm kidding.
I was just gonna say, dude. I saw that game and I was like, "What the fuck is this, bro?"
I saw another picture and I just had to say that. No, in all seriousness, the game that that actually got me the most excited during that reveal actually is Godfall.
Okay.
And I think the reason I got most excited for it, one, it's a beautiful looking game. Two, it's from what I've read online, it's a co-op looter slasher experience, and set in a totally new like heroic knights and ancient magical world. And I'm like, you know what? That's really just a nice mixture of everything I want. I'm really big into fantasy. I've always loved hack and slash type games, and in the fact that it's going to be co-op, I think will provide a lot of really great opportunities just to play this with friends.
Yeah.
And I think like it actually looks really, really promising, and looks like it might be a huge breath of fresh air to like the gaming community. So that was actually the game that I got really the most excited for.
I think that's gonna be and that one was supposed to be close to launch, I'm pretty sure, right?
Let me see. I'm looking at my notes. Well, considering it was actually first shown several months ago, which I live under a rock, so I didn't actually even know it was announced already. But considering it was announced really long time ago, I imagine they got to be pretty far along on development. This GameSpot article says it will be out this holiday season. So I mean, it might not be out day one, but it's got to be shortly after release.
Yeah, definitely. Gotcha. Adam, were there any games on that you saw that you were like, I'm interested in? Because I mean, there were a bunch of other games that they announced that weren't necessarily PlayStation exclusives.
True. Probably Resident Evil 8 is the one that got me like hype.
Oh, definitely.
I really enjoyed Resident Evil 7. I mean, okay, so I come from a background of like Resident Evil 4 with like Leon Kennedy and that dumb bitch you have to rescue. I forgot her name.
The president's daughter.
Yeah, and she's really fucking annoying. Ashley.
Ashley.
Of course her name's fucking Ashley, dude.
Yeah.
No offense to any Ashleys that might be listening at home.
Full offense. God damn, I'm kidding. But yeah, man, and then Resident Evil 7 like was just obviously like totally different, going from like third person to first person, and like I'm not saying Resident Evil 4 didn't have a bad storyline, but like just storylines from like older games you can definitely tell are just like in today's day and age would be like quote unquote forced.
Yeah.
Like the storyline's just very like rigid and like shit like that. And then like Resident Evil 7 has like, I don't know, I thought it was a pretty smooth story relatively.
Yeah, I mean, because I think you could tell with the older Resident Evil games, it's like they had the game and they're like, okay, let's make the story, you know?
Yeah.
They kind of made the story fit the game a little bit better, that's fine. I mean, Resident Evil 4 is like, everyone talks about, like, it might be the best Resident Evil from some people's perspective.
True.
But yeah, I agree. Resident Evil 7 was super sick.
It was dope. Yeah. I really enjoyed it.
I even played that game.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And you don't like scary shit.
I don't love it. I'm getting better though. I have been getting into the horror genre a little bit more. I've been. I've really enjoyed. If you haven't seen Get Out, watch Get Out. Because
great. Awesome.
It is a really. First of all, it has a very important message. If you haven't seen it, watch it. But it's also
very relevant today.
very relevant. And but also the horror is so well done in that. I haven't seen Us yet. I still need to see Jordan Peele's other movie.
I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I liked Get Out more, but it was very, 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 very good.
From my because like Us is a little bit more supernatural, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
I need to see it. I watched It, Chapter 1. That is
good movie. Good
really enjoyed that one.
That's good.
I don't know if I would technically count this as a horror movie, but I did enjoy A Quiet Place quite a bit.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good.
That was
some jump scares. I think.
Yeah, it had some jump scares. Definitely, it wasn't necessarily horror, more suspense, and it got me interested enough in the world. Also, when is that sequel was supposed to come out in March, and it was delayed because of Corona. I'm wondering when that's going to get released, because I totally forgot that was supposed to have a sequel.
A Quiet Place was?
Yeah, A Quiet Place Part 2.
Yeah, it was supposed to. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was supposed to be a sequel to that. XD.
Yeah. So it's supposed to happen. I don't know when, but anyway,
interesting.
It got me interested enough to the point where I was like, I could see a sequel happening because they did enough where it got me interested in the world around the movie. You know.
True. Yeah.
Oh, another movie I just watched that is so good. Train to Busan. Holy.
I have
fuck.
not seen that yet.
Such a good movie. If like.
Is it on Netflix?
Yep. Definitely, it's on Netflix. And
look it up.
It's a South Korean zombie movie. So good.
Ooh, speaking of South Asian movies, sorry. What was that? That fucking the one that won a
Parasite.
Parasite. That's a good film too.
I still need to see that as well. So
I think it's
Graham is getting his toes deep in the horror genre, and I really enjoyed Resident Evil 8. I enjoyed all those horror movies. I'm very
that's what we were talking about. That's right.
I really enjoyed Resident Evil 7. I haven't played 8 yet, but I think is Resident Evil 8 supposed to come out this year too? I don't know. Whatever. If it does,
all I'm saying is I have high hopes for, or there are big shoes to fill with Resident Evil 8 in my eyes.
Definitely.
Resident Evil 8 comes out 2021.
Okay.
Pepe hands.
That's only next year, but I mean, they didn't give a specific date. But
it's next year.
It is next year. I am very excited for that one. I have one more thought with Resident Evil, and then we'll get to you, Joe. Is that after I played Resident Evil 7, and then I played the Resident Evil 2 remake, which Resident Evil 2 remake is amazing. Love it so much.
True.
It's still the third person perspective, but it's a total remake from the ground up. I loved it. And after I played that, I was like, what if Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 2 remake had a baby? You know, if they banged. I really hope that that's what Resident Evil 8 is. You know,
that would be dope as fuck.
The first-person horror aspect, the spookers and everything that Resident Evil 7 had mixed in with a little bit more of the old-fashioned survival horror gameplay that Resident Evil 2 had. I think that'd be super cool. The Resident Evil 2 felt a little bit more video gamey to me than Resident Evil 7.
Really?
Just a little bit. Like Mr. X. He's definitely he's as big as Thanos, you know? Like he's a very video game type enemy. And like the first boss you encounter, I don't remember what his name is, but the guy that has the big fucking eye in his shoulder that's half a monster. That's a very video gamey. Of course, the Resident Evil 7 ending is also very video gamey with the fucking huge black mass thing that
so you're talking video gamey as in like things that like fiction kind of shit?
Yeah, and like enemy design a little bit.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm really excited for that game. That was probably my most hyped game from that.
Yeah, it'll be dope.
Joe, what were you about to say?
So I was actually going to ask next question. What are your guys' bets for the price of you could probably do PS5, and if you want to lump Xbox in on this, you can.
Mm-hmm.
I bet $500. And I arrive at that number for a couple of reasons. One, I was reading an article about the PS5 and speculation about the price point. And apparently in the world of marketing, I don't entirely know how this makes sense, is that companies would rather sell a product that ends in 99, so like $499.
Oh yeah.
Instead of having it end in like say 50, so $550. Apparently, consumers would rather buy the something that ends in 99 versus the 50.
Yeah.
So if we use that logic, I'll finish my thought and then I'll let you go, Adam. If we if we use that logic, that either puts you at $499 or $599. And in my mind, 600 is just too high. A lot of people will be really turned off by that number, and they're going to wait a real long time for the price to go down. I feel like customers will at least understand the price point of 500, and they'll feel they won't be as against shelling out that amount of money for that console. Maybe some people won't right away on day one, but you're pricing a lot of people out if you go at the $599 price point compared to $499. All right, Adam, go.
I mean, I was just gonna butt in about the whole logic behind 00 versus 99. It's like, I mean, the first number you read from left to right is gonna be lower when you read 499 as opposed to 500. And I just think psychologically, it's like, oh, it's less money because it's $1 cheaper, you know? Yeah. Because you see the 4 there and not a 5. Anywho,
you ought to, even though it's $499, you still lump it in the 4. I feel like in the $400 bracket compared to the $500 bracket.
Yeah, it's all psychology of like, yeah, that's bullshit. Yeah. My guess was 650. Really? And I'm sticking to that.
Interesting. Okay. Why do you say 650?
Because I think Sony are just greedy little bastards.
I mean, they've been doing a pretty good job of sticking with like the same price that Xbox has, but maybe since like now that this generation of consoles are basically getting to be mid-range PCs, maybe even a little bit better.
Buy a PC. Oh my god, it's 2020.
Now that they're getting to be about that level, I guess I wouldn't be totally surprised if it was 650, but like I think they want to keep it at that console price range. So I was thinking more of like I would be very surprised if it was anywhere below 500. I could see it maybe being 450 at launch, but I think it's going to be $500 at launch. The other thing is like, I mean, and we can get into this too with a little bit like, do you guys think the Xbox Series X is going to be around the same price, or do you think they're going to be like undercutting the PS4 a little bit? Like PS4 is 500, we're 450, you know?
Yeah, that will be interesting to see. So I imagine the price is probably going to be the same between PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. God, they really need to change that to something shorter.
Such a dumb name. Why don't you just call it like the Xbox 10 or something?
Or just call it the X, the Xbox X. That's all you need, right?
The XX.
The
XX.
The triple
X squared. Like seriously. But anyways, I think their price point are going to be the same, and that's going to be because of the specs. That are in the consoles. The specs are not too different.
They're like within spitting range of each other.
They have the same type of CPU, and that's going to be an AMD Zen 2. So I mean, the price will probably be the same for that. The GPU has similar benchmarks. I'm just curious. They're both going to be an AMD RDNA 2. Right. I couldn't tell you much about it, but the fact that it's the same line tells me the price will be the same.
Yeah. Real quick, Joe, before you say anything more, I just want to, were these specs just like, I want to make sure, are these specs like confirmed by PlayStation yet? I'm not saying that they're not correct, but like, just in case you are on the off chance incorrect with the sources, I don't want to say Hot Boys Anonymous knew what the specs of the PS5 were before they were actually announced. So,
I mean, it might help us grow. So, but so I'm not sure where these specs are coming from. The article that I'm looking at right now is from a website called Tom's Guide, which I'll be honest, I initially thought it might be related to Tom's Hardware, which if it is, to me it's a reputable source. But going off of this source, the specs are pretty much the same. The Xbox does technically have a little bit higher compute power and a little bit higher GPU power. The Xbox also does have a slightly larger solid state drive. Xbox has 1 terabyte, whereas PlayStation 5 is going to have an 825 gig. Now, this is maybe where there might be a difference in the price. The PlayStation 5 has an 825 gigabit custom solid state drive. So I don't know if they came up with their own proprietary solid state drive or if someone helped develop a new one, versus the Xbox is using a 1 terabyte custom NVMe SSD. Now those are 2 different technologies. I don't know off the top of my head how those prices compare if you were to buy a computer equivalent. So that is the only way you might see a difference in the prices. But I'm betting they're gonna be the same.
Okay. It's really,
$500. Final answer.
It's really interesting to me, and I'll buzz in with you too. But that seems pretty. Yeah, I would say about $500. But like, if those stats are true especially about the memory, why would they go with 825 gigs?
Storage, not memory.
Yeah, sorry, storage. Thank you. Why would they go with 825 gigs and not a terabyte? Because it's like the PS4 Pro comes standard 1 terabyte. I'm pretty sure, but like,
I'm pretty sure it does as well.
Where like it's like no one wants 500 gigs consoles anymore. It's not like a Nintendo, like the Switch doesn't come standard 500 gigs, but that's because you don't need 500 gigs. Like the biggest game I think that I own for the Switch might be like Breath of the Wild, and I don't even think that thing pushes 30 gigs, maybe 40. So, and that's really big for a Switch game.
That's a big fucking game, dude.
So
Breath of the Wild was huge.
Yeah, and like I prefer. I love the whole plug in the game. It works. Go for it. I hate. I'll be honest with you. I hate installing games when I get a new one.
Yeah,
that's just me.
I think it is interesting that Sony decided to not go with the 1 terabyte. Now I'm wondering if it's because they went with a custom SSD, if there was some technological limitations as to why they couldn't. But that sucker's gonna fill up quick. Like I'm looking right now, like Call of Duty, the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare for the PS4, as of 4 days ago, currently clocks in at 194 gigabytes of space. Like that's
194
for a console, and that's for the console.
Oh my god.
And that
each of our updates like what, fucking 40 gigs?
Exactly. So I mean that's for the full game. That's for like all co-op, all of the campaign, all multiplayer. And I know on console you do have the ability to remove portions of that game. But still, if that was to be ported to the PS5, that's a quarter of your storage.
Yeah.
In one game.
Why would why would you do 825 gigs? Just make it a terabyte, bro. Because we need that space.
I think I read something. I can't confirm this, and I'm looking right now, but I think I did read something that PS5 will come with an expandable slot in which you can plug in your own SSD. So with SSD prices coming down, you could very easily buy another 1 or even 2 terabyte SSD, which will help.
Right, but then it's just like, why? If I was going to buy, if I was making a decision for a PS5 versus Xbox Series X based on storage alone, which I'm not making that decision. But if I were, I would have to pick the Xbox because it's a 1 terabyte. Right?
Yeah,
and I don't want to pay extra for more space. Like that just doesn't make sense to me. And, like I just think you shouldn't make it. If this is true and it ends up being 825 gigs, I'm gonna be kind of disappointed because it's like you just do the 1 terabyte, bro. Like.
So here's what I'm reading is that PS5 owners will be able to add more storage space either through an external hard drive or by installing an M2 SSD in a dedicated expansion port, says the system architect of Sony. Ugh. So at least you can expand, because especially like think about games like 3 or 4 years from now. Like if this Call of Duty right now is pushing almost 200 gigs, imagine what Call of Duty from 3 years from now is going to be like.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Shit, dude, it's crazy. Like I just started to I just started my pre-download of The Last of Us Part 2, and it's 76 gigs.
Oh my Jesus.
And that game doesn't even have a multiplayer mode. That's just a campaign alone. That's what that game is. And like I think by the first Last of Us game back in my day on the PlayStation 3, you didn't have to install shit.
True.
You just started playing, bro. Put in the disc and it worked.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, why did that even become a thing? Like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Is it like a graphics thing? It can't be, though.
No, I don't know, dude.
It would probably have to do with like improving the speed of the game, like, or it probably makes your disc size smaller. You might not be able to put
what size?
On a CD.
Disc.
Nah, that's not what I heard the first time.
Adam, stop. Bad Adam.
Make me.
There are children.
Ooh woo.
Oh woo.
By the way, ooh woo official clan tag for Hot Boys Anonymous in Call of Duty. But
yeah. Weebs out. Ooh woo.
Weebs out. Ooh woo. Anyway, yes. So you think it might have to do with speed, and that was something else that the PS5 boasted about, was having their super fast SSD with the new console. So I don't know if that's all about loading times then, right?
I'm guessing.
Because like they claimed that there was a big difference between the PS4 Pro and the original PS4, and like I did do one test. I don't have a PS4. One of my buddies back in Minneapolis has a Generation 1 PS4, and we both loaded up Doom 2016, and it took about the same time. I do notice, but to be fair, I downloaded a demo. I didn't buy the full game, so that maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know if it actually had something to do with it, but I didn't notice a huge difference in load time. Plus, it was a brand new PS4 Pro. I didn't know if it needed to like break in the software a little bit. Loading times for other games are really fast, but I thought that was an interesting exception to that rule. So we're gonna see. Okay, do you have any other games you guys want to talk about before we move on from this? I do have a couple as well. What were you guys gonna say?
So my question that I asked earlier, saying that we would allude to this.
Oh yeah.
If Star Wars was a day one release only on the PS5, would that be enough to push you to buy the PS5?
Star Wars Squadrons?
Yes, Star Wars Squadrons. And my answer for me, if we live in a universe where this is going to be a very good game, there's no microtransactions that are going to turn people off, anything like that. If it's everything I hope it will be, if it was out on PS5 day one, I would buy the PS5 day one because of it.
Damn.
That's the only game that has been announced or confirmed. Well, I guess I'm assuming it'll be on PS5, but like out of all the games that have been confirmed for the PS5, none of them are driving me to be like, I'm going to buy a PS5 day one. If Star Wars Squadron is a part of that, I would do it.
But that's if it was a PS5 exclusive.
I think even if it is on PS5, like just they do have it for okay, yeah. If it was a PS5 exclusive, yes, that I would get the PS5 day one, but that's the only game that would. Now, considering it's going to be on PC, I probably won't get it for console at all.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, since it's already on Steam, I'm probably unless it turns out to be an amazing game, and I'm like, I really want to experience this on my 4K TV with like native 4K support. Sorry. Okay, bro, let me just say this. 4K TVs are not that expensive. Just putting this out there.
Wait, is that in your apartment or at your parents' house?
No, at my apartment. Macy and I bought a new TV.
Oh, okay. Fucking huge flex then. Jesus.
It was only like $280. 55-inch 4K
Okay,
TV.
moderate flex.
Exactly. It's not that big of a flex. You can't. It's almost.
I think my monitor was that expensive.
Yeah, it's like it's.
Flex.
God damn it! Shut up.
It's like it's almost hard if you want to buy like a TV that's like bigger than 50 inches nowadays. It's almost impossible to not get a 4K TV unless you're buying like a Samsung, which like. That's a weird flex. If you're buying a Samsung TV, that's a weird flex. If you're like in your mid-20s and buying a Samsung TV,
there's nothing weird about it. That's just a big Samsung is like probably the most expensive.
They have the curvature of the screen,
and you can like see noises and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, so you can calculate the slope of that ass.
Exactly. The Samsung TVs is like watching a Samsung 4K TV is like if those How It Feels to Chew 5 Gum commercials were watching TV. That's what it is. I don't think they're actually that great, but whatever. So
are you saying 5 Gum isn't that great?
No, 5 Gum is amazing. I haven't had 5 Gum since like middle school though.
What's the best flavor?
Fuck, what? I
don't even know the names of the flavors anymore.
They had the one.
If it's not winter mint, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, okay, that was my go-to. But they had a different one. I don't remember what it was.
They had like a watermelon, I think that was awesome.
I think it was like almost like a purple, maybe like a magenta.
Magenta.
I might know what you're talking about. I don't know. I'm a mint gum guy. Yeah. I don't do the fruity shit.
1000%. I love mint gum, dude. But yeah. So anyway, it's not that weird of a flex to say you have a 4K TV. Putting that out there. Going back to Squadrons, I don't know. I mean, if it is the game I want it to be, and it was a PS5 exclusive, depending on if I had the money for a PS5 on launch date, then I would probably buy it. But
I have.
since it's
Go ahead, sorry.
not a PS5 exclusive, and also we don't know what the gameplay is yet, I'm a little hesitant, But go ahead, Joe.
Actually, go ahead. I'll save this because I think you might ask a question at this point we'll relate to.
Okay. Well, I wanted to mention a couple other games real quick before we get into the next part here. So Resident Evil 8, I'm super stoked about. That's gonna be cool. Demon Souls is the predecessor to the Dark Souls games, and that's getting a full remake. And it looks, we didn't see any gameplay. That was one of the few games that we didn't see any gameplay for, but it looks incredible. And it's it says here, according to GameSpot, From Software's masterpiece has been completely overhauled, and it looks like it was created specifically for the PlayStation 5. So, Ben the other day told me he put out this video about why you should be really excited for the Demon Souls remake. If you're not, check out Iron Pineapple on YouTube. He's a video entitled Demon Souls Remake, Why You Should Care About It. It's I don't know, I think it's like 20 minutes, maybe, I don't remember. But he goes in depth about why this looks super cool. So check that video out if you want to be more hyped for that. Bug Snacks, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I was like, why does this need to be on the PlayStation 5? This looks like it could be on the Wii.
The OG Wii.
Yeah, it's like, why is this deserved time? I know there are people who are like, it's not for you. I'm not a part of the audience that would enjoy Bug Snacks, but like, I saw a lot of nays in the Twitch chat during that reveal. So I was like, why? I don't know. Also, NBA 2K21. I want to know how much money they spent to have them revealed during the PS5 reveal.
I'm surprised they didn't do a 2K20 compared to 2K21 comparison. And whenever they make that comparison in the 2Ks, the older generation they show a player, and then for the new generation they show the same player, but they make sure he's sweaty.
Yeah.
To emphasize the difference in graphics, when really they end up looking pretty much the same.
They really do. But I will tell you, Zion looked sweaty as fuck in this.
He looked, I will admit, at least in that video, he looked probably the most realistic. Like when you watch a game, you can tell. Like when you watch the gameplay, you're always like, I know that's supposed to be like Jimmy Butler or LeBron James,
right.
But like you can clearly tell it's different. But like this one felt closer to the actual Zion Williams than any previous game.
Yeah, and it's also that with like every sports game where it's like the stars always look closer to what they look in real life, when you see them in the game, When I'm playing a Chell and I see a Patrick Kane, I'm like, okay, that looks like Patrick Kane in the game. But when I see some like, third liner from a random team, like if I see freaking like Jonas Brodin for the Wild, he's a good defenseman. I'm not trying to piss people off. He's just not great. Anyway, I see him and I'm like, that looks nothing like the guy. It looks like you just used an NPC from like Skyrim and you're like, yep, that works, and put him in the game. So it's like, it's always Skyrim. So it's like Zion's gonna look great because everybody knows who he is. But like, I'm wondering what Joe No Name, who plays for the Phoenix Suns, is gonna look like in 2K20.
Hey man, don't shit on Joe No Name. He's an up and comer.
Sorry, dude. Might be. I don't mean Mr. No Name. I apologize, but you know what I mean, though.
Yeah.
So I think what's gonna really come down is like, what if those people in the game are actually gonna look like what they look like.
True.
There was another game, Little Devil Inside, that I was pretty stoked for. That looks like it's got a really cool mixture, like aesthetic wise. I'm gonna try to do a really good job here, future Graham, try to edit in some images so the people at home can see what I'm talking about. But Little Devil Inside has a really cool mixture of like the really unique aesthetic, and it looks really humorous as well. And it's like almost like Monster Hunter a little bit. I don't know. I have no idea what that game is going to be, but it looks really cool. There were the Horizon Zero Dawn sequel I'm super stoked about. That game looked gorgeous.
Yeah, how did I not even mention that one? That one looks, confession, I haven't played through the first one yet, but seeing that trailer makes me want to play through the first one, so I'm ready to play that one when it is released.
Yeah, just like PSA, I'm pretty sure it's on sale right now on the PlayStation Store, but
all right, be right back.
Just, if you're listening to this podcast, I apologize because like on YouTube, I mean, because the PS5 sale is like over like tomorrow, and I mean the day after we record this, so I apologize if you ran
So
the
go
PS5.
buy yourself a DeLorean and then find some crazy scientist, preferably with the last name of Brown,
Right.
and go back in time and buy it on the PS sale.
Dude, yeah, definitely. I mean, but the game, I think like full price, it's like $20 maybe. So it's
Which
not
is
bad.
not bad at all.
Who's the crazy scientist with the last name Brown?
Doc
Brown.
Back to the Future.
Oh, God. Okay.
Thanks, Adam.
Should have figured that out. My bad.
You're good, dude.
I was trying to think of like Nobel laureate. Like, wait.
You're like thinking.
I know most of the
real
chemists,
scientists.
but nobody else.
Let's see. I just want to quick through. I talked about that Project Athia, the Square Enix new IP, PS5 exclusive according to GameSpot. We know nothing about it, and it's probably not going to be called Project Athia since it has the word project in the title. But we'll see. Returnal was a game that I thought that was really cool. That was like the one, Adam, you talked about a lot with the chick that had the 2 different colored eyes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you were loving that.
That looks like
Well, they were just making a big deal about it. I thought
They were, yeah. They kept focusing on it.
I kind of got a what was it? I got a Death Stranding vibe from it, like
okay,
based on the graphics, and then you're in another world and stuff is going. That's kind of the vibe I got from it, and considering Death Stranding wasn't really super well received, that makes me a little hesitant about Returnal.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing with Death Stranding though too, and then I promise we'll move on to the next thing, is like Death Stranding is like, it's very much Walking Simulator 5000. You know, it's a cool world to look at, but it's like, you know, whenever I pick it up, it's like I have to be in a mindset to play Death Stranding. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna play Death Stranding for a half hour. You know,
True.
It's like I have to be like, okay, I know that not a lot is going to happen in this time that I'm playing Death Stranding.
Hey, honey, I'm gonna play Death Stranding. I'll see you in 2 days.
Right, exactly.
That's me with like Breath of the Wild. I have to be in like the mood to play it.
That was me. I will, like, for the first like 10 hours of Breath of the Wild, I have to be like, okay, let's play Breath of the Wild. But like after those, like that 10-hour hump, I was like, fuck, I only want to play Breath of the Wild.
Really?
And because like I bought that game summer of 2018, and I played like for like I played the first 10 hours on and off over the course of like a year. Like I kept hearing about how much people like this game, and I just couldn't bring myself to play it. But then once I moved down here and I've started playing it again at the beginning of this school year, I played through like the whole game in about a month and a half.
Oh God! All right.
So super fun game, but yeah,
Fuck
I was
yeah,
very
dude.
much like that. It took a lot to get me there. But anyway, going back to Returnal, it seems focused a lot more so on combat, which seems cool. And this brief description says, features a crash landing on an alien planet where the protagonist keeps reliving the same events, including her death, over and over again. The planet, however, changes every time she dies. So that's a cool.
Hell?
Yeah, that's a very interesting thing.
I wonder if that'll help with replayability, like if they just continuously keep making the worlds different.
Right. And like they sort of are able to find a good level of balancing the difficulty and the progression of the game. That's going to be interesting. They talk Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which is from the Little Big Planet franchise. Why didn't you call it Little Big Planet 4? But that's whatever. There was that Destruction All-Stars game that looked like Rocket League mixed with like Smash or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I have no idea what the fuck that's about, but I mean, if it's a cool new multiplayer game for PS5, hey, I'll take it. I'm going to go through the rest of these real quick, and then we'll move to the last thing. Kana, the Bridge of Spirits, that would like look like Pikmin with like a little bit of Breath of the Wild vibes in it. Those little black things that were like fluffy dudes with the big eyes that were following her around. Game looks really pretty. It's a wait and see for me.
True.
Goodbye Volcano High. That was like looked like high school furry dating simulator to me. I apologize if this is a game that you're really excited for. That's totally awesome for you, and I'm happy that you have that game. For me, I'm not really into these styles of games. that's just me. So, but it just kind of looked like the main characters were different. Was it when animals look like humans again? And
That's a furry. Wait.
yeah, like furry, but like the actual like
The fucking weirdos? Yeah, furries.
like
Dude.
anthropomorphic. Is that what it is?
Anthropomorphic?
Anthropomorphic. Isn't that?
I don't know. It sounds biological. I don't
Something
fucking
like
know.
Anyway, it looks weird. I hope it's good. It looks like furry dating simulator. Anyway,
And if
Ghost.
you're a furry, why?
Why? We welcome furries here.
That might be one kind of people we don't want.
Well, just.
But you do you.
We'll move on. You do you. We'll move on from that. Ghostwire Tokyo. I'm not a furry, by the way.
I'm starting to question that now.
Just gotta get that out there. Ghostwire Tokyo. That game looks really cool. It's a Bethesda game. It was that they announced it last year at E3, and they had that really peppy game developer who came out and talked about it. It's like that first person like psychological, maybe not psychological, but like horror game based in Tokyo that had that really cool gameplay that I thought was cool. Yeah. Anything else? Hitman 3 they announced. Never played a Hitman game. Deathloop looked really interesting. Deathloop was made by the same people who made the Dishonored games, and those games are pretty good. It's kind of like Returnal, where it's a first-person game, a first-person stealth game, where you play as this, like, I think you play as like a hitman, and you're trying to kill this one guy on this island or whatever, and all the people there are trying to kill you, and every time you die, you start the day over. Kind of shit. Pragmata was the first new IP Capcom has announced in a very long time, and we know nothing about it. Comes out in 2022, and yeah. Okay, thank you for letting me go through that, boys. Let's get back in the actual PS5. What did you think of the looks of the console?
I actually kind of like the look of it. It's definitely a big change from the previous iterations. Because I felt like PS1 through 4, even though there were differences, they all kind of maintained just the same square box looking shape. I actually like the new look. I know everyone says it looks like a modem or a router, but it really kind of looks sleek and almost has like kind of a high techy design to it.
Yeah, Graham, make sure you put an image of the PS5 up there, please. Thank you. I don't love the way it looks, but I do appreciate that they're trying to do something different with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
one thing I saw, and this is what I wanted to actually allude to earlier, but I wanted to wait till because I knew you were going to ask this question. Let's see, who is this? The PlayStation VP of User Interface Design, Matt McLaurin, actually revealed that the PS5 is going to be customizable in ways that previous gens were not. If you look on IGN's Twitter, they actually show. Well, it's a video, but it's looping through a lot of the different designs that are going to be possible. So the default one, it's the white siding with the black center, but you can reshade that to any color. You want to go all black with like a red center, go for it. Or you want to put the Assassin's Creed logo on it, go for it. So I think you can actually get some pretty dope looking PS5s out there if you can customize it to the levels that they're advertising.
Whoa.
Yeah, some of them look pretty sweet. Futuregram, you should post a couple other pictures as well of what they look like, if you can find them.
So you're talking about the actual like case of it, right?
The actual case of the it's still the same design, but you can change the colors up, and it looks like you can change the light.
Yeah, that looks cool. That's really smart, because like I know a lot of people are probably don't love the white, but if there was like black on the outside, like I see there's a black and red.
I don't mind the white console. I'm not a fan of the white controller though, because white things don't stay white, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. They do not, unfortunately.
Especially after eating a bunch of Doritos and Cheetos, my controller's gonna start looking orange.
Fucking neckbeard.
Neckbeard. Right. Yeah, we will. We'll see. But that's pretty pog. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So the look of it, that's really cool that it's customizable. That gives me some more points in that edge, because like I didn't want it to look like another black box. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the Xbox Series X looks like a mini fridge a little bit. So it's got those glowing lights on top, which I guess that's style points a little bit, but there's nothing that makes me want to be like, oh, cool, look at that. Where, like, I heard a streamer say the PS5 almost kind of begs you to look at it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you dislike that or not, you have to give them props for that, and that it at least it looks unique. Adam, what do you think?
I guess really the only complaint I have about it is I just do not like asymmetric things. Like you know how it kind of has like a hip on the bottom right side when you're looking at it.
Yeah.
Like I just think that it's weird to have that on one side. Like if it had like two hips on either side, like I think it would be better. But then it would be like a little bulky.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking with that. That's really my only complaint with it. It's cool that you can customize it and all that shit, but like I don't know. Asymmetry is weird.
Are you talking about like where the disk drive is?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me look.
Yeah, I'll let you take a peek. While we're on the topic of that, what do you guys think of the whole that there's the digital edition and the edition with the actual disk drive?
I'm gonna buy the disc version.
Mm-hmm.
And that's only because I'm worried about the future of current consoles. Because think about it. If I was lucky enough to own a Nintendo 64, I know I can still plug the Nintendo 64 in because I own the hardware and I own the games.
Right.
But if you go digital only, what happens if Sony goes under or if they get bought out by another company? Like, since I don't own the physical game in my hand, even though I'm purchasing the game and digital access to it, does that necessarily mean I'm still going to have access to that game 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now if I want to keep this console and keep playing it later? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be sticking with the discs. I'm going to stick with discs as long as I can. That way I still have the consoles. I might not touch them as much, but like, who knows? It might be like the N64, which still has high value 20 to 30 years after release.
Right. That's an interesting way to look at it. I guess I wasn't thinking of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
But
yes, the disc drive is the thing that's weird for me. Without the digital edition I think that looks sleek.
Yeah,
I do agree. The digital edition looks better.
Yeah, I get why. I mean, that's kind of smart because like it is a little bit more environmentally conscious. You know, you're buying less discs, is less physical thing, plus like plastic, cases, or whatever. Definitely. Also, like it is really nice to have digital editions of games too, because then I don't have to be like, if I lose a disc, I'm like, fuck, well, there goes that game. Or like even just like if I turn on my PS4 and I'm sitting on my couch and I'm looking through my games, I'm like, what do I want to play? It's like it's a lot nicer to not have to go stand back up and grab the disc out and put another one in or whatever. I can just click on what I want. That is pretty pog. God, I'm watching too many Twitch streams, dude. It is pretty nice. But here's the other thing with that though is I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed that the PS5 is going to be backwards compatible with at least PS4 games.
Yeah, I think I heard that. I think it's most. I don't think it's 100%, but it's most of them.
Right. It was like top 100.
Yeah.
And so everybody's got to have at least like 5 or 6 of those.
Yeah.
True.
So like, then if I have a PS4 and I have these games, then I'm definitely gonna buy the physical, like the one with the disc drive, because I want to be able to play those PS4 games. Like I'm definitely gonna want to go back and play God of War, or or probably Death Stranding at some point, or whatever other games that I have, because I have them and I don't like. For me, I didn't get my PS4 until like this past Black Friday, mostly because I wanted to play The Last of Us Part 2 when it comes out, which will probably most definitely be re-released on the PS5. At least I think it would be. That'd be dumb if it wasn't. But like I just got all these PS4 games that I'm going to want to be able to play after I get a PS5, if I were to get a PS5 this year or next year, early next year,
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably be getting the disc drive version. We'll see about everything else, but yeah. Okay, so we talked about games. We talked about the overall stream. We talked about the actual console a little bit. Back to the actual console reveal then. I was a little disappointed with the lack of a price point, A, B, a release date, and C, the actual specs of the console. I was really hoping that PlayStation would be like, here's what we got. Feast your eyes. Here's our massive schlong on the table. This is what our console can do. And they didn't do that. I was disappointed by that.
I'm in agreement. I definitely wish we would have got more specific details. I mean, I understand maybe why they didn't give that to us, because I think there's two reasons as to why, or two potential reasons. I think one reason is they want to give us something to look forward to, like, come July or August, everyone, when they're like, oh, Sony's going to make an announcement, that's going to have everybody hooked, because everyone's like, are we finally going to get a price? Are we going to finally give a release date? Mm-hmm. Gives people something to look forward to, something to fill in that time before we actually get to release. Second, another reason why maybe they haven't given us all those details. I mean, they could probably have given us the details of the specs, but the price and release, who knows how much COVID has actually affected all of this.
True.
It might have caused issues with production, cost, the supply chain of actually shipping things out. They might still be having to work through those details. So I'm going to give Sony a pass on the release date, because they might know information that we don't, that is preventing them from coming up with a firm date.
Yeah, I could see that.
Only thing I'll give them on that.
Gotcha. Were there any before I go on to this, Adam, did you feel the same way? I know you're not as into the PlayStation Nation as the rest of us, but were you also a little disappointed at the lack of that information?
Not really, because I didn't really have any expectations for it.
Okay.
I didn't know that was like something that you guys were expecting, so I went into it totally indifferent and open-minded, so I wasn't really, I don't know, there weren't things that I can think of where I was expecting something that didn't happen.
Right.
So it was just kind of whatever you feel.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. Okay. There was one game that I was a little disappointed that they didn't announce, and probably for good reason that they didn't announce that it was coming out, but I was low-key expecting them to be like, also God of War 2 is going to happen. And that was probably just because I had literally just a couple days prior just finished God of War. So I was ready for that sequel. I was ready for that. And plus, they kind of ended it in a way that's like, definitely ended it where it could be its own game, but it's definitely, there's going to be a sequel. I don't think there can not be a sequel. You know what I mean? So I was hoping for that game release, but that might be a 2021, 2022 thing. And if they're taking their time to make sure it's a fantastic game, all the power to them. You do that, because I would rather have it be delayed and have it be an amazing game instead of know it's coming out soon and have you rush it out just so I can have it earlier. Definitely. But yeah, that was one game that I was hoping would be announced that wasn't. So let's open this up a little bit for the last little segment of the podcast to the PS5 versus Xbox Series X conversation. Joe, you talked about this a little bit, I think, before the podcast. Like, just basis off the two consoles, I think it's pretty clear which one you should go with if you were considering buying the two. But I don't know. Joe, do you want to talk about this for a little bit?
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting comparison on whether or not do you want to get the PS5 versus the Xbox, because each console is better than the other in their own way.
Yeah.
If going back to that Tom's Guide spec article that I referenced, if we're talking actual specs comparison, the Xbox Series X is actually better than the PS5.
Right.
Not by a lot, but the CPU does have a 0.3 gigahertz faster processor. And then the GPU, it has 1.7 more teraflops, and then a larger solid state. So if we're talking just the spec comparison, the Xbox actually is better than the PlayStation 5. When it comes to what I'm going to purchase, I'm actually going to go with the PS5. The main reason being the choices of games. Pretty much every game that I would ever want to play on the Xbox, the Halo series, Gears of War series, I can get that on my computer, which the computer will always blow a console out of the water in terms of specs and power.
Right.
There's no denying that.
Right. Especially in terms of upgradability, but continue.
Oh, exactly. And then like the actual ability to customize your settings and graphics to your own preference. So like I hate seeing Fortnite streams on consoles because God, the shadows are awful.
Right.
Anyways, but PlayStation 5, I mean, they have so many games that I just won't see on the computer, but I still want to play them. Like the new Spider-Man Miles Morales, the next Last of Us, what else? There's a couple the Gran Turismo series.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, there's just so many great games for the PlayStation series that like I'm still gonna get it. Like I know that for a fact.
Right. Yeah, especially when you consider that like Xbox said, and it's super cool that Xbox did this, and I'm 1000% behind them on this. Just the whole that they're going to have the day one releases for Xbox Series X, their exclusives, have them be on Xbox Game Pass for PC. Like, that's a really cool idea. But it also just, like, for me, if I was debating between the Xbox Series X and a PS5 and already have a PC like I do, it's that there's no question I'm going to get the PS5 because their exclusives aren't readily available anywhere else. And it's like, for $5 a month, I can play Halo Infinite when it comes out. You know, I can play Gears 5. I can play whatever the fuck other Xbox exclusives that are going to be coming out for the Series X on day one launch. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you ask, or like if I ask you, why should I get an Xbox Series X when I have a gaming PC? There's no clear-cut answer that you can default to.
Right.
Versus if I say, why should I get a PlayStation 5? Spider-Man Miles Morales, the Gran Turismo, Horizon Zero Dawn. You got a whole list of games that you can just say, like, you can't play these on the computer. You need a PlayStation to play on. I'm like, that's a fair point. I'm going to get a PlayStation 5.
Right. I mean, and I know there are, like, you can get PlayStation Pass or whatever the fuck it's called and play some PlayStation exclusives on PC, but it's way more expensive.
Yeah.
And it's just not worth it for me personally, where it's like, and again, with like the backwards compatibility argument too, although the Xbox Series X, if it is true, does have way better backwards compatibility that I think goes back to the original Xbox, still I can't play PS4 games on PC unless I pay whatever the price is. I think it's $100 a year or something like that, which isn't terrible, but still, it's not $5 a month. And that's just, yeah, I don't think there really is that much of an argument between the two consoles, frankly. And just because I can play Xbox exclusive games on the PC now for not that much. But I don't know.
True.
Adam, what were you thinking with all of this?
I have no idea because I didn't even know the Xbox S Series X or whatever was even being released. So that's all you guys.
It's just crazy to think because it was like they announced like they had the Xbox One X. They announced that, and then it came out. But then right like after it came out, they're like, oh, by the way, the next Xbox is coming out too, and that's going to be its own thing. Like, that's going to be the mark of a new generation. It was kind of like, why did you do that? You know? Like, and then they announced it last year at E3, so I wasn't as excited about it because the Xbox One X had just come out, and I didn't know the difference between the two consoles, really. There didn't seem like a lot. They just kept boasting power. It wasn't like, here's what the game looks like on the Xbox Series X.
Don't get me wrong, specs are important, but like you need to give me a reason to need to use those specs.
Right. And it like now that I can play Halo Infinite on my computer when it comes out, there's no real reason, honestly.
True.
So don't get me wrong, I'm stoked for Halo Infinite. I think it's gonna be a cool game, but it's not gonna be a console seller because frankly, you put it on PC. Which is a good move because I think more people will buy it that way, definitely. But it's not going to sell Xboxes. at least as many as they wanted to. There are definitely going to be people who buy it so that they can play Halo Infinite, but you know what I mean. All right. Well then, I think we touched everything we wanted to talk about. Is there any other points that you guys wanted to bring up with this whole thing?
Not really. I think I really liked doing this podcast and actually talking about something that's relevant right now and not just talking about how we feel about something that is just generally how we feel. I like the current event.
I think these podcasts, especially because it's this time of year when usually big games are announced. I know since we talked about how E3 isn't happening, but I know that now that the PS5 has been officially revealed and we know a little bit more about it, I'm going to be really interested to see what Xbox is going to do. Granted, we do know a lot more about the Xbox, but I'm kind of excited to see if they have any sort of rebuttal, to PlayStation. And Star Wars Squadron just sort of came out of nowhere. I'm super excited for that. And this is the time of year when big games are usually announced. So I have a feeling that there are going to be a bunch more episodes like this where we get to talk about a little bit more current events. Fingers crossed, that is. I really hope that we still have the... Holy shit, sorry. I really hope that we still have the normal number of games announced this year that we normally... this time of year that we normally do. So fingers crossed. That'd be great. Adam, did you have anything else you wanted to add before we call it?
Nah, dude, I'm good.
Cool. Awesome.
I'm good.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed this. And I think people will too. I'm going to try really hard to get it out within the next couple of days. I don't really have a reason not to since school's over and I don't have a job, so can't really do much anyway. So, all right, well, thank you very much for listening to this episode of Hot Boys Anonymous. I had a lot of fun discussing the PS5 with you guys. We'll probably talk more about it once more specs and stuff are released, but yeah, had a great time. Thank you very much. Say goodbye, everybody.
Peace out.
Goodbye.